Sometimes it's important to take a break from all the serious talk about the coronavirus. It's very important talk. I've been talking about it a lot recently. But sometimes now it's good to take a break and just go into a little bit of story time, which is what I want to do now. Hi, this is John Perkins, author of many books, including Shape-Shifting, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and the most recent, Touching the Jaguar, How to Transform Fear into Actions to Change Yourself and the World. So I want to share a little story, one that I think is very important. One of my favorites goes back a long time ago to the time of Robin Hood. And it just so happens that I'm here in one of my favorite places in the world, a forest, a beautiful, beautiful forest. In this forest, this forest reminds me a lot of Robin Hood's forest. The story of Little John crossing the bridge and challenging Robin Hood to a duel with sticks. And I happen to be wearing my green like Robin Hood. And I'm remembering how in those times, the time of Robin Hood and the merry men and women, how what they were really standing up against was tyranny. The serfs, the people, the normal people who were known as serfs, most of them, were terribly brutalized by the few rulers. Not unlike some of the things that have been happening in our history, in our time in life. Not unlike that at all. A lot of the rulers came from the Normans, who had invaded from what's now France and conquered the Saxons of England, but there was a mixture. And the Robin Hoods, and there were a lot of people who really Robin Hood symbolizes, stood up against these people. It's really significant, is that in the end they kind of won. Those of you who remember the story of Robin Hood know that he was up against the Sheriff of Nottingham and Prince John, who had taken over the throne from his brother, the Lionhearted, Richard the Lionhearted, who had been taken captive on his way back from the Crusades and was being held at ransom. So Robin Hood was really standing up against Prince John. And in the end, the famous Magna Carta, which has really formed the basis for most of our laws since then in England and the United States and many other places, the Magna Carta was signed by Prince John. And it took away a lot of the powers of the king. It wasn't a total victory because it put a lot of the powers in the hands of another group of wealthy landholders. Not unlike the American Constitution that gave voting rights to landholders, but not others. But it was a victory. It's a great story. And it's one of those times we live in today when we know that, back to the virus, it's giving us messages that we got to change. We got to stand up to those in power and make sure that they help us transform a death economy into a life economy. Remember Robin Hood and the power of the people. Thank you.